certainly drug and alcohol abuse, were a part of our story. Anger. There was no peace. That's something that Amazon Prime don't deliver it. Target don't sell it. Your doctor can't prescribe it. Peace only comes from one thing, and that's the peace of God.
Hey, Castleview, great to have you back at the Castleview Baptist Church podcast again today. And I've got a very special couple with us. Matter of fact, you'll recognize them. And I've got Rob and Marie Miller with us. Thank you guys for being with me today. Marie, thanks for sitting down.
Oh, you're welcome.
I know she's
Thanks
going,
for having me.
This is not what I want to do with my life.
Nope, I'm usually the person in the background.
In the background, that's right. Well, you do a great job with that. We'll get into that in a minute and kind of what you're doing. Rob, you're not always the guy in the background. You've got a big personality.
I tend to, try to, lead social environments and get people connected is really my mission here lately.
I would say that's interesting. I love your spirit. When you guys were kind of new. How long have you been at our church, by the way?
A little over 3 years. We've been out in Colorado. We actually found the church before we found our house.
Okay, is that right?
We did. Yeah.
Okay.
When the whole job situation, so back in 2022, we moved out here, March of 2022. I'd only been a member of one church. I got saved at 33, a little bit older in life, and never had to even think about leaving a church or finding a new one.
Wow.
So when this job opportunity came up and we talked about it, that was my first, my biggest concern was finding a new church home. And I just know, me personally, my behind needs to be in church every Sunday as much as I can, surrounded by God's people, hearing the word.
Well, tell me about that. When your job was to Castle Rock, then you knew you were coming to this area?
So Sedalia, Colorado.
Okay.
And again, I had no idea about Colorado geography or really, I knew it was close to Denver. That's about all I knew.
How did you find us then?
Knew my office in Sedalia. Just started looking at a map and kind of general areas, just asking some questions. I reached out to some pastor friends, at Rosedale, my home church in Maryland.
Pastor Scott Toole.
Yeah, Pastor Toole.
Sure.
And, your name came up, Pastor Tate. You got to meet this guy. It's a lot like Rosedale, similar beliefs and teachings. Sure. And we connected. We connected on Facebook, and we watched a few messages online. And then I don't know if we had not bought a house, but figured out where to live out here. But I'm pretty sure I came out here to find a house. And I came to a men's group on a Thursday night. I reached out to you. We connected on Facebook, and you just say, come on out to the men's group.
Yes.
And just right away, I just felt like instant connection, this is a good place for me and my family.
Yeah, we're thrilled. You're a culture builder, right? You guys are the kind of people that, hey, whatever needs to be done, we want to be a part of it. Let's jump in.
Yeah.
One of my first memories was so funny. We were doing a video. We were out of the property. You were pretty new here. This would have been around. You came out in 22. This might have been that fall. We had a service out on the property.
I think it was the groundbreaking service.
It was a groundbreaking service. Drew Shetler is running around getting some little testimonies and that kind of thing. And there's a shot of you driving the cart. You're driving, shuttling everyone over from the North Peninsula over to where we were at. And he interviewed you. And you were brand new. You had just gotten here. And I loved your testimony. I remember what you said. Oh, this place is going to be state of the art. And I thought, I don't think Rob knows yet. I don't think he has an idea what it's going to look like yet. He was bought in.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, we better make this good. Yeah. Rob's out there telling people it's going to be state of the art.
And what a building. Right?
Yeah, it did turn out great.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
It turned out great.
Place that God's given us. And just to see the growth and the amount of people. I often think about, I remember praying in them empty rooms, just that we prayed we'd get to the finish line, and praying that God would send us people and the rooms would be filled with children, and He's answering our prayers, isn't he?
There's no question. And I think you guys are probably serving in some ways that you didn't anticipate. Rob, we'll get to what Marie's doing right now in just a minute. And then Rob, you've even been in the kids ministry.
I have.
Haven't you? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So, pretty much I can look back our entire marriage. She's been such a support to me in every endeavor, professionally. Anything I've ever done, whether it was officiating, my job, she's been a full support of what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And when her and Shelly took over the nursery, I was just like, you know what, let me support her for a change, and
yes.
so it was really kind of that heart. I just wanted to serve with her.
Get in there, and you like those kids, don't you?
And you know what? And I tend to. It's first Sunday. We do the first Sunday,
every
first
month.
service, first Sunday of each month, and it also connects you there, right? Because you're able to meet a lot of parents.
Yeah.
I've met people's names. In fact, sometimes working in a nursery, you get to. You don't even know their name. You just know that's so and so's mom or dad.
Yeah.
And then you ask Jeremy or something. Hey, what's his
What's
name?
their name? Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes that's
Marie, does he get them riled up in there?
Oh yeah. I had to stop a collision once.
Did you?
I had to put him in timeout.
Is that you really? See, that's how I picture the nursery with Rob Bennett. I picture a lot of chaos in there, but a lot of fun.
But they love him.
They love him,
and especially the boys go to you more.
Yes.
Play,
the rough and
throw the
tumble
ball a little bit and have them chasing balls and
But they say the darnest things and the cutest things. Like Reese said, Mateo potato.
Yeah. Mateo is potato.
Oh, that's so funny. She's so funny
She
too.
is.
She's adorable. Marie, you and Shelly have been such a great help to Debbie.
Thank you.
She just loves both of you. You've just really taken the nursery and ownership of it and leadership of it. And thank you for being
You're
willing to
welcome.
do
And
that.
thank you for having us.
Would you have seen yourself doing that a couple of years ago?
No.
No. Yeah. What did you serve at Rosedale at all, Marie?
No.
Okay, you were. We're going to get in that story in just a minute. Okay, so this is really the first church.
Oh yeah.
That you've really gotten involved the way that you're involved
everything. 9/11 baptized me.
Well, September 11th. Yeah. You, Bill, and Mary on September 11th. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, September 11th of what was that? 2 years ago.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was about 2. Maybe
It was the first year we were here.
Okay.
It happened quickly.
Maybe it's 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, Marie. When did you trust Christ?
I'm gonna gradually, but when I came here.
Yeah.
When I came here.
I remember we had some
Definitely
conversations. I don't remember all the exact details of it.
Right. I've never had that aha moment. It's just every day he shows me something. So I'm getting it gradually.
Yeah.
I'm learning and I'm like, wow, you know?
Yeah, I'd say for her, my mom also shares that. She always says it's been a journey for her. Where for me, it's been a journey, but that journey had a
distinct moment. Yes,
sure.
yes. Okay, so I want to get there, and before that moment happened, I kind of want to talk about what brought you to that moment.
Yeah.
You've been married now for 18 years, is that right? Okay. And by the way, how did you meet? I was asking about that a minute ago.
We met on the football field. We have 2 sons, and they were 11 and 12 when I met Marie and the boys, and a friend of mine was their football coach, and we'd gone up the field, and he invited me up one night to come out. We're going to go out with some moms from the team, and and I always kind of wondered why he coached the team, and
he had no kids.
He didn't have any children, and so he invited me out.
But he was a single guy.
He was out with the moms that night, and I'm like, this is why
he's on to something.
Yeah, so it was love at first sight for me, for sure.
What about you, Marie?
Not so much for her.
What was your first thought of Rob?
He needs a lot of work.
That was my first thought of Rob when I met him. No, he needs a lot of work.
Good evaluation.
Rough around the edges?
Yeah. Like, oh boy. And my friends kept saying, he's not leaving. He's coming to the games. He just kept coming.
And he's got no kids here.
No.
Marie, I think you better watch out.
And then I think we went on a date and we talked for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, you were like,
You wore her down.
I think so. Again, I was a lot different person back then, for sure.
Okay, tell me about that. What was different?
I was just.
This is pre-salvation. You
for
hadn't
sure.
met Christ yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit about my story. My mom was a single mom. My dad was certainly in the picture, but my mom was the spiritual guide of our family for sure. And she tried her best to take me and my brother to church and have us around things of God. But I knew about Jesus and some of the characters of the Bible, but it wasn't real to me, So I grew up Lutheran, so the Holy Communion, the confirmations, But there was no change, no knowledge of, no relationship with Jesus. It was all head knowledge, and even that was not correct in a lot of my beliefs at that point about God. So fast forward to, you get to adulthood and you start making your own decisions, and church was the farthest thing from my mind. Just started, hanging out with some pretty rough crowds. I just kind of loved that bar, nightclub, nightlife, the interaction with the crowds, which is kind of funny now because now it's like I can't stand crowds. Unless it's a church or something. I enjoy, a good
Sure.
Christmas Eve. We talked about that on the podcast. That was hands down one of my most favorite memories of the building, so far. The early, a little over a year that we've been in there. That Christmas Eve, it was just. I think we had every chair that we had in the building, and it was all hands on deck, just trying to set up.
If
chairs.
we had 5 more people, what would you have done?
Standing room only,
Yeah, I know.
But just thinking about, I don't like crowds, but back then it was just always a fear of missing out on something, and I was always going to miss something by not going out and socializing and interacting. Sure. And again, that kind of hobby, if you will, or fun, just started taking over my life. It became more of a habitual thing. Started affecting, missing days at work. Not coming home at night. Just things that.
You're married at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you get married. When you first get married, Marie, how were the early days of marriage? I mean,
I think
the very
first
beginning.
Year of marriage was horrible. Not good.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was just conflict with each other.
Constant tension.
I think once we became friends again, then it
got better.
And he got it.
Yeah, he got it. Sure.
Yeah.
But kind of a rough start.
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about not coming home at night, I mean that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh,
right?
no doubt.
That's not good for a marriage. You don't know where he's at then when he's going out.
Yep.
And
not answering my phone. She'd
right.
call me.
And I'll dot every I and cross every T, but I was done. Like
finished.
Yeah.
Like this isn't. How long into the marriage did it take for you to get to a place that you thought this isn't going to work?
3 years.
It was 7 years is when.
Oh,
I mean, we certainly had multiple
Okay.
problems prior to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But kind of the I guess the rock bottom or epiphany came.
Yeah, sure.
About 7 years into our marriage.
Marie, about 3 years in, you're kind of going, I don't think this is going to make it.
Yeah.
And about 7 years in, you just kind of, this is it. Tell me about that.
Well, to give you some backstory, my dad was married 5 times. My mom was married 3.
Wow.
So I didn't think I ever really wanted to get married. So when we got married, I wanted to make it work.
Sure.
And just...
Was that extra motivation for you?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you went into marriage going, hey, if it doesn't work, I'll just, I've already seen.
It was very important to me.
And it was, yeah. She made that very clear.
Very clear.
Yeah.
That
our dating time.
It was very important to me. I wanted it to work and be together. And,
right.
But when you threw me against the wall,
Wow.
I was just like...
Do you feel like that was what even allowed you to get to 7 years? Was just the absolute commitment to,
yes,
I don't want to go down this road that mom and dad went down.
For sure.
Wow.
And same way, my parents are divorced. So just not making excuses, but we didn't really have a natural marriage that we looked to and said, that's who we want to be.
You didn't have a model that
right.
We were asking people that were their marriage was bad,
and you're asking them for advice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just, I look back and the wisdom that I used to seek, the counsel that I used to seek. I got marital advice from people that were married 3 and 4 times, and
right.
financial advice from people that were broke. And,
right.
I mean, what a fool, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm the one seeking
but
counsel
you just
from them
knew, I don't know what I'm doing, and so maybe somebody else.
An aimless ship, a rudderless ship is what I was.
Wow.
I think your grandfather helped me a lot, Pop.
Yeah.
With he was the grandfather I never had, and I started taking care of him. He had Parkinson's.
Parkinson's,
And just learning from him.
Wow.
A very wise man.
Yeah, he was married to my grandma for
Sure. Okay.
50 until the day she died.
Okay. Okay. So there's somebody that knows what they're talking about. Did you have? What were some of the issues you guys were going through? Was it? It sounds like some anger issues.
Oh, it was. I'd say certainly drug and alcohol abuse. Were a part of our story. Anger. There was no peace. Talk about peace. And that's something that I mean, Amazon Prime don't deliver it. You know, Target don't sell it. You know, your doctor can't prescribe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your peace only comes from one thing, and that's the peace of God.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, and just that's the main thing that I think about pre and post salvation
Yeah.
is peace.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about that sea, you know, and the stormy sea, and just with the word peace be still, you know, everything just calmed down. And I can't say it just happened like that,
No.
Yeah.
but certainly that moment, and over time, it just things became peaceful, and little by little started peeling back
At salvation,
layers of an onion.
things changed.
That, you know, Rob, you are messed up,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I know you think you got it going on, and you know, you're messed up. You know, you're not a man. You know,
Yeah.
in fact, you're far from it. You got a lot of work to do, man. And at that point, I had a choice to make. You know, it was either I was going to humble myself and submit to that and say, yeah, you know, I got some tough things that I need to look in the mirror here. Talk about James, right? Looking in that mirror, that perfect law, and say, you know, am I going to continue to have that mole on my face and
Yeah.
you know, be a horrible, you know, husband, and you know, I mean, just looking back, I just wasn't a good son. I just wasn't that good of a guy, you know.
Really. So take me to that place then. What was it that caused the change? I know where it goes in just a minute. What you wanted to go into church?
Yeah.
What brought you to a place that you finally said, I've got to go? I'm sure you were invited to church before. You grew up going to a Lutheran church, but you didn't kind of seek going to church. It wasn't part of your life. So, you know, as a married adult, so what happened?
I told him to pack his bags and get out.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, she kind of.
You were at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. This is 7 years in. You just said, I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Okay. Was there something that precipitated that, or was it just the accumulation?
Just
of...
everything, I think. Because once I get to that point, I'm just done. Don't look back. But
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely has a very, very long fuse, but you know, once
she gets there,
once you're there, and again, you just mentioned from 3 to 6, we're talking 4 years.
And I'm thinking, how disrespectful, you know? I'm here doing everything, and you're doing whatever. No, you don't get that.
Yeah, yeah. So you say you're done.
Yeah.
Pack your bags, and what happens?
So that was a Saturday morning, you know, Friday night and Saturday morning. If I remember right, it was Saturday morning. I you know, basically she tells me hit the road. You know.
Do you see it coming?
I mean, I knew things were bad.
Sure, you knew it's bad, but hey, it's been bad for 7 years.
Where's she going to go, right? I mean, honestly, that was my thought. I mean, is wrong as the thought process as that is. Where's she going to go, right? I mean, she's going to go back to her mom's house, or I mean,
I will figure it out.
Yeah, and that was your thought.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where
anything is better than this.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know, we got to that point, and that Saturday night, I had some friends of mine, you know, Dave and Erica, who were Christians, and Dave and I were childhood friends. We grew up together, had a very similar story. They had moved up to Pennsylvania. You know, he definitely cleaned his life up, and they were going to Rosedale Baptist Church. They had a friend day the following Sunday, and again, they had no idea what had just happened that morning. But she texted me messaged me on Facebook and just said, "Hey, you know, Dave and I were just thinking about you, and we're having a friend day at church next Sunday, and you were the first one we thought of."
Wow.
So I'll never forget. I was like, "What the heck? I got nothing to lose, all right? I'll go."
Right.
And I just went and, you know, went to Sunday school with him and went to church. And I contacted Jake Potter, you know, and just said, "Hey, I need to talk," you know. And
well, back up just a touch. What an amazing pivotal moment in your life.
Yeah.
That somebody reaches out. I would guess just prompted by the Holy Spirit.
No doubt.
No question or no understanding of
I
what's
call it
going
a divine
on.
intervention.
In your divine intervention. I mean, they have no idea what's happening.
None.
The power, and I do want people to hear that in our church. You just, when God puts somebody on your heart, you just never know what they're going through. Yeah. Why all of a sudden did I think of them to invite them to? And so many times we just kind of overlook it. Well, you know, I don't want to put the pressure on them, or I don't want to. It was the turning point of your life.
It was.
For somebody to say, you know what? They may not have known all the issues that were going on, but they know that Jesus changes lives.
Amen.
And I want our church to hear that too, that what a powerful, and by the way, what an easy thing to do, right? Facebook message.
Yeah.
Hey, we got friend day tomorrow. You're our friend. We'd love to have you join us.
And it's that was one of my things, and I think probably still struggle with at times is rejection, right? I mean, you're afraid of, somebody telling you no or all that kind of stuff. And somebody mentioned that they're not telling you no, they're telling God no, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
you're just doing what God's commanded us to do, and just extending the invitation and the olive branch.
Sure.
And just keep doing that,
Yeah.
right? Because like you said, it changed my life, that one invitation.
Yeah.
And I tell them often, every time I tell my testimony, you guys are a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have a part in my eternity.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It
And
really
yeah,
is.
they're just very special people
Yeah,
to me
no-
for
no
that,
question.
and always will be, right?
So you show up at church Sunday morning, and how long has it been since you've been in church?
I mean, I probably, different friends of mine's kids got baptized or something like that.
Okay,
I attended,
sure.
but yeah, I mean, as far as like actually paying attention and engaged,
Right.
and as I look back, I never heard a biblical message before. I don't recall, just straight Bible, and she talked about the actually Pastor Toole, not she, he talked about the woman at the well that day, and just, how she was a wreck, and he didn't sugarcoat the sin. He called out the sin in a loving way.
Yeah.
And just radically changed her life, and she goes back to her hometown and is telling everybody,
Yeah.
this guy knew everything about me, yet he still loved me, and that something I know Bill's been on the podcast, and it gets emotional at times, but I mean, I cry multiple times a year at church, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember who I was and the things that I did, and the fact that he wanted me to come back home. Like, I mean, in my earthly mind, if I had a son like me, I'd be done with him. I'd be like, I've gave him enough chances, and this idiot just doesn't get it. We got a dumb one here. But like it's to hear song and get emotional, and because I remember who I was and where my life was and where my marriage and my family.
Yeah.
And like, how can I not sing?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember going into church pre-salvation, not singing, just looking around, like people raising hands. And,
Yeah. What's going on here?
and now it's like, man, I can't help but sing.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you don't know what he's if you don't know, let me tell you what he's done in my life.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
if he did in my life what he can do in yours, you'd be singing too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It'll change your worship.
Absolutely.
So you walk in church that day. First impressions. What do you remember about it? Being somebody that's not been in church for a while, and you walk in.
Just a warm reception.
Yeah.
I felt welcome.
You feel like that made a difference?
Definitely. And I absolutely feel that we do that tremendously at Castleview. It's just a warm, welcoming place where people. I mean, let's face it, right? When you come into a new place with, especially the size of our church now, I mean, we're getting, roughly 200 people a service on average, and it can be intimidating walking into a place where you might know one person, maybe not know anybody.
Yeah.
To walk in there and just to immediately our greeting team makes you're not a stranger anymore from the moment you walk, even get near that door.
Because don't you feel like you walk in and you've got these walls up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard about church, what how judgmental church can be, and you just hear these narratives from people
Right.
About church, and so I think people walk in with a little bit of a wall that's already been raised up, and so even just that smile, the handshake, the showing somebody where to go, it made a difference. So you walk in, they're friendly, and
I guess, and that's one thing about you, you're real, right? You don't get up there and some churches I've been in, I'm just like, man, I don't relate with any of these guys, right? I mean, they're, it felt like they've never done anything wrong, they which we know is not true.
right.
But I'm like, man, I don't connect with people that are,
So you're saying that you knew right away I was a pretty big sinner. You could tell.
Yeah, and with me, it needed to be somebody special because you're my first.
First
Yeah.
pastor.
Pastor, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So, okay, don't let me forget to come back to that because I do want to talk about this for just a minute. So you walk in, you You hear Pastor Toole, by the way, one of the great preachers. I mean, he's just
Usually my Sunday school
amazing.
class on Sunday mornings.
Oh,
It's
man.
7 a.m. out here when I'm
Just-
getting ready.
Yeah, just amazing. I mean, he's just a great expositor
Yeah.
of the word. So you go in, you hear the word, and what happens in your heart?
Yeah, I mean, just a hunger for more.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know, not what people said about and that's another thing I've learned. Like how many people are very confused
Yeah.
about who Jesus is,
Yep.
who who he was, who
Yep.
he is, why he came,
Yep.
what is the Bible, who is God,
Yeah.
like
It just questions are just kind of
even
starting
so-called
to,
churches, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
like I'm like that don't line up with what I just read today, and
yes.
that's churches teaching that.
Yes.
Well, you're not going to know the difference unless you know the word.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right?
right.
And that's on me. That's on you individually.
Sure.
To get into it and
Okay.
study it and what does God's word, not man,
Mhm.
not what man says about the word, but what does the word actually say?
Sure. So you get this spark of hunger. I mean, all of a sudden it's like, okay,
I've had this
that
book my whole life that I've
but what's
that's
this
sitting here,
something's
but-
different here. Yeah, I need something different. So what do you do at that point?
yeah, I get into it, start reading,
Mhm.
listen to podcasts. I still do that. I mean,
Yeah,
I listen to a lot of preaching
yeah.
and probably once a day I'll listen to a sermon,
Yeah.
because I need it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to stay on
Yeah.
the path, and
Sure.
I'm hungry for truth.
So you go to the service, you leave the service. I don't think anything happened at this point, right? I mean,
Yes.
you left at this point just feeling like I need more of this. So what happens after
so
that?
just like I believe I got saved that day, honestly, like in my heart.
Yeah.
But I nailed it down like
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was March 30th. So I want to say I went April 2nd because April 1st was April Fool's Day.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting saved on April Fool's Day, right? But looking back, I got saved that Sunday.
You did,
in my
yeah.
heart.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew
Yeah.
at that point. No question, I'm a sinner
Yeah.
in need of a savior.
Yeah.
And I'm not he.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I can't
But
do
there
this.
was one
Yeah.
who lived a perfect life.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how oftentimes the Lord just brings us to the end of ourselves
Yep.
to really reveal who He is, right?
That's hit the nail on the head, right? I came to the end of Rob's road, where I had the whole weight of the world on my shoulders, and
Yeah.
that's an impossible.
I don't have
burden
the
to carry.
answers. I haven't figured this out. I can't even get a marriage working out right. I'm not even coming home,
Right.
Some of the time. I mean, I'm just, it's and all of a sudden you walk
what a
into,
guy.
so you walk into church and you go, you know what, I need this. And it does remind me though of so many people in our church that walk in. We have so many guests coming right now that I think you look at them as people that sometimes you see people around you that everyone's got it together, everyone's fine. We all walk in. Nobody's going to walk in just crying and saying, "Hey, somebody help me.
I'm a wreck."
I'm a wreck. Things are a disaster. Our marriage is on
Yeah.
the." You wouldn't think that about people, but that is oftentimes, as it was in your case, that's what oftentimes brings somebody to church. I mean, they know we're at the end of our rope right here, and we don't have the answers for that.
And that's kind of where I got to a point,
Yeah.
that God, if you don't intervene, this is done.
Yeah,
And
sure.
particularly our marriage. you know.
Marie, what happens then? He comes home. You probably a little bit skeptical. I'm thinking you're skeptical at
I'm
that
not
point.
convinced.
You're not gonna. You're going. Yeah. You. I just told you to pack your bags and get out.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're religious and spiritual, and you're telling me you're going to change your ways.
Don't forget, I'm done at this point.
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm done.
You've got a long fuse, but once that is run out, you're done.
It's going to take a miracle for
Yeah.
me to.
Just to let him stay.
So I think time, and what the key moment I think was my brother moving in, which had a drinking problem. And I think he went on a bender one night. Rob got him back home, and I literally, this has been going on for years. And finally I said to him, I'm done with you too.
Yeah. Really. Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
done. I
Yeah.
don't like you. I don't want to
Yeah.
be around you.
Yeah.
So he ends up the next day coming and he says, can I go to church with Rob? And I said, sure. Why not? He went. And I think over time, Billy Martini
Yep.
helped us a lot, which was a pastor at Rosedale.
Okay.
And I just started seeing the change. And my brother, he's been sober for
I think over 4 years now.
Over
as
4
a tough
years
break.
now.
This is your brother that you said, I'm done with you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm done with
I'm
two
done
people
with
at this
you.
point.
Wow. So family.
Well, at that point, we were back.
We were back together at this point, but
Right.
I'm still
Right.
like
yeah. Right.
skeptical of the whole.
Yeah. Right.
I don't
Right.
the trust was gone.
Yeah. Right. No
and
trust.
it takes a lot to build that
So what? How did you build it?
over time, saying what he was going to do and doing it, actions.
Doing what he said.
Yeah, not just saying it.
And that was different from what it was before.
Yes, and I just seen he just seemed different to me. I don't know.
I often say, love is a verb, right? I mean, it's not a word. I think charity is actually biblical meaning is love in action, right? I mean, it's not just saying I love you. It's
Right.
doing it, showing up. And I just remember early on in that reconciliation process, I heard some counselor. I never went to counseling or anything, but I did hear somewhere on the podcast every day ask her, I want to do one thing for you today to show you that I love you. And some days that was emptying the dishwasher. Some days it was.
But there's 4 love languages, and you
5.
had to, or 5. You had to learn mine.
Yeah. What is yours?
Time.
Quality time.
Quality
and,
time.
and doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. Sure.
So-
It's funny you say that because I've had a couple of premarital counseling sessions this week, and I give out that book, The 5 Love Languages. And sometimes guys will look at their wife. Their wife is a quality time person, and they'll go, "Wait, no. We sat in the same room for 4 hours tonight while I was on my phone. And I was watching the game, and you were serving me chips, but we were together the whole time."
Yep.
And they're just going, "No. I need you engaged and present and conversing and interacting and emotional connection."
Yep.
And
Pastor Shetler mentioned that in one of the breakout groups when he came.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that. And it's so true.
Yeah.
The quantity time leads to quality time.
It does.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
That you're right. Sometimes that.
You can't just turn on quality time. Okay, 10 minutes quality time right now.
I can do that.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
sure.
I'm hey, I need to talk to you. Okay,
Yeah.
come on, sit down. For 5 seconds, put it on the schedule. Let's.
Right.
She needs that cocoon of comfortness and the environment and
Yes.
and it's just different. And you had to learn that. I had to learn that with being with her. And it's so true about that. The quantity time leads to the quality time for us.
It's funny because a wife that needs quality time, and all relationships need that quality time, but when your love language is quality time, you want that so badly that when your husband is not giving it to you, or vice versa, sometimes that's opposite. When they're not giving it to you, your cup is not filled in that area, and so you're always needing to be around each other. And so all of a sudden the husband's going, well, I never get any time to myself. Whereas if he would actually engage and be present, your cup gets filled and you're okay with, hey, go do your hobby thing. Go enjoy a little bit of time. Because I feel fulfilled right now. It's interesting. But when it's not fulfilled, the husband's going, I have to be there 24/7, and she's still not happy with me.
Do anything.
Well, wake up! You're not engaged, in what's going on. So you started seeing a difference in him, and part of it's just time. Part of it is you're saying what you say is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Just you were happier. You're better to be around.
Yeah.
More fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Before it was just.
I always think back, to like the gifts of the Spirit, right? And love, joy, peace, long suffering.
Yeah.
And I often think about what's the opposite of that. That's the fruits of the Satan, right? I mean, hate and anger and lack of peace and unforgiveness and. I mean, I just think that was everything we had in our life.
And you did come to me at some point and said you were sorry.
Oh.
And that made.
I remember
Did a big
both the
difference.
boys. Both the boys. I sat down. I mean, they saw things, heard things. That just was unacceptable, right?
Yeah.
And that was the home that I created for a period of time.
Rob, I love that the terminology that you use and the way that you talk about it, that it's unacceptable. It's not like you're sitting here making excuse. Well, I didn't know Christ, and so I probably shouldn't have been as whatever. No. You always come right out with, this is wrong. It's kind of like the David in Psalm 51. Lord, I want you to know exactly what I've done, so you make sure you judge it correctly. Because I'm not. And I think, Marie, if he's coming to you with excuses, well, I didn't have a good example,
Right.
Marie, didn't have a good church. I didn't know then you're kind of like, well, hey, I really don't need to hear your excuses.
Right.
I've been telling you what you need to be doing. But when you go to somebody, the boys or her, and you're just going, listen, this is on me.
Yeah.
There is something different about the way that's repentance.
Yeah. And, just independently sat down with each of them and just, hey, things that I said to your mother, that ain't never going to happen again. And it hasn't, and just apologize to them. And just, that's not the way a man is supposed to treat their wife, and
Sure.
guys, I'm sorry, I wish I could go back and change it. I can't go back and change it, but I can change from here on out. And, I just want your mom is safe.
And they're both wonderful boys
they
now.
are.
Cody's
Young
a
men.
great father.
Yeah,
DJ's
wow.
a great man. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah, our youngest son, Cody, we just became grandparents 10 months ago. Little partner.
Congratulations. Yeah. I know you're loving that.
he's killing it.
Yeah.
They both
Just
are,
good.
him and Lindsay.
Yeah, just to see
Good.
our son and daughter-in-law, just tremendous parents.
That's awesome.
Raising that little boy, and
Yeah.
he's growing. He's just getting smarter and just coming into his own
You could
personality.
look at that in a couple of ways. You could say, wow, I wish I would have. Boy, I gave him this really bad example for a long time. You could also look at it and say, what an amazing testimony that is. That they actually saw what it was like without Jesus in our lives. With us acting, Rob primarily acting the fool, you would say. But now they saw what that was like and what that did to your relationship. But now they've seen, look what Jesus does when he changes a life, when somebody turns to Christ and when they begin to really get serious about their walk with him. And look at the difference of these two. And then you kind of look at it and say, what do I want?
Yeah.
Well, I want that.
Yeah,
Right. DJ, our oldest, he told us he has seen a complete. That's what he wants. He said,
that had to be one of the coolest conversations I think I've ever had.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were in our living room, and since he's moved out here, he's lived with us. He had his own house in Maryland, sold it, and it was, hey, just come live with us until we figure out what's going on out here.
Yeah.
But when he moved out, I mean, he was 19. He was a young man when he moved out, just because, I mean, honestly, he probably got tired
of us.
of the nonsense,
Yeah.
just
Sure.
the chaos. So kind of left a young man, with not a good role model of what a godly home would look like.
Right.
And now I'm so glad that we got this time back, because
We
now
got
he's
him
lived with us.
back.
Yes,
show 'em.
you got the other side. But don't you think that life change is one of the most powerful testimonies? I mean,
Oh,
you think
yeah.
about Saul, who later we now know we talk about him as Paul. But I think that's one of the greatest testimonies he has. That people, you saw who I was, and you
Right.
saw the kind of person I was and what I did, but God has changed my life.
Yeah.
Peter, you saw how vacillating and roller coastery and emotional and I'm up and down and all of that, but God has changed my life. I think that's one of the most powerful testimonies you can have, is just, listen, look what God did. Here's the result.
And now I am.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
And not only talk it, but live it.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
he said to us a couple months ago that I look up to your guys' marriage, and I'm just that meant
Sure.
the world to me.
Wow.
coming
I'm
from
sure.
where we were.
I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So so you trust Christ, things change, right? Marie, where are you at in your faith journey at this point?
Probably not there.
Not there yet.
Yeah, no.
Not there yet.
yeah, I'd say
Do you start going to church with him?
Towards when my brother started, I started seeing a difference my brother took to him. So I started going to church, and
Yeah.
we started going to Billy Martini's
Sunday school class, right?
class.
Okay.
And we kept going and going. And then what happened? He moved.
Yeah,
He went.
he took a church in Brimley, Michigan, and I
And-
think we moved out here shortly thereafter.
Right.
you know, and
Yeah.
we moved
Okay,
out here.
okay,
So really kind
okay.
of Rosedale, I went by myself for the majority
He
of the time.
did.
You did. Okay. How
Yes.
long did you go there?
From 2014 to 20, so 7-8 years.
But
Wow, 7-8 years.
it
Okay.
was a good scenario because that's a big church.
It was.
Sure.
And
That's not your thing.
She was very
no. So when
intimidated
I
by
came
that.
to your church, it was the perfect
Yeah.
recipe.
When you came to whose church?
Pastor,
church.
oh, God,
Our church.
our church, your church,
Yeah. Right.
our church.
Our
Castle
church.
View,
Yeah.
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 I just instant love. I felt comfortable, and it wasn't that big.
Yeah. Right.
But then,
But
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's
I'll share with
definitely-
her, you know, Rosedale was that size 1.2.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
right.
you know, every church of
Yeah.
1,000 at one point was
Right,
5 or
right.
6. Right.
Right.
I mean,
right.
and we see that happening at Castle View now. You know,
Sure.
just the multiplication and
but I'm already in, so
Yeah, it's okay
So
now.
it's okay
right, right.
now,
You've
yeah.
got, you've got relationships,
Yeah.
and yeah, the bigger it gets, the harder it is for some
Yeah.
people to want to come in. And so you started going to church before you moved out here.
a couple times. I'm not going to say a whole bunch, but
Oh, really? It
Yeah.
just I didn't realize that. Just very rarely.
Yes.
Did you go? Okay.
Yeah.
So then, when you came here, what caused you to? Hey, it's time for me to jump in, because that I didn't realize. I guess I thought when you all came, you were going to church regularly. You guys had been in church regularly together.
I mean, it went so fast. It just felt like when I walked through that door, it moved quick, and I just it was just I'm here. I'm home.
When you came to Castleview,
Yes, I just felt home, like I was at home.
it just felt right to you.
Yeah.
I remember when we
And I connected with you too. It just felt
we moved out here. You know,
Yeah.
she just said, "Yeah, I'd like to get involved in going to church with you. You know, can we
Yeah.
find one?
Huh.
Can we find one together?"
can
Yeah.
we find one together? That's-
Together.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And I said,
Because
"Sure."
that's
I'm
interesting,
like,
because
you
it was
feeling
almost
okay, right?
it was almost his thing.
Yes.
Before that.
Yes.
It was.
Right.
It was.
Okay.
Definitely was.
And he definitely needed it,
Oh,
but of course you needed
I
it
still
too.
needed it
Yeah,
too.
it wasn't like you were the one causing the as many of the marital issues as he
Right.
was, but from a spiritual standpoint, you didn't have Christ.
No.
And so you
I
needed
was
it.
kind of mad at him a little bit, and I shouldn't be, but my mom passed away. So I was going through a little tough time then.
Yes.
But I
Okay.
totally understand it now.
Sure. You
Yeah.
see it now.
Yep.
So you move out here, and it's almost like a fresh start
Yep.
for you in a way.
Yep.
That okay, I have seen a change in him. I've seen a change in my brother,
Yeah.
and now I'm in a new place. I'm not going to Rob's church.
Right.
Now we can kind of start something on
I
our
really
own.
wanted to know why he had us here. I was curious because we didn't know anybody. We've never really moved from.
No, we Baltimore
Baltimore.
our whole life.
Really?
So I'm like, I got to see what he can see that I can't see.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And it's great.
So you came to church right away.
Yeah.
And right away you felt at home. Did you? You
Yeah.
felt like it was the right place for
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Marie, it's so funny. We've had conversations about your salvation. I baptized you.
Yeah.
All of that. I mean, we went through that. You've placed your faith in Christ, and you've trusted Him for your salvation. I guess I didn't connect that you were so new to church
Yeah,
when you came here.
yeah.
Maybe I just forgot that. It's been 2-3 years
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe I just kind of forgot that side of it. But I did. I kind of forgot that side of it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't think that now. You're so plugged in. You're so involved. You're so faithful.
Right. What can I do for him? That's what I.
Yeah.
And I'm here for a reason, and
Yeah.
I'm just going with it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What's your favorite part about our church?
The people.
Yeah.
I love everybody there. I love the nursery,
Yeah.
the kids,
Yeah.
just everything. I love everything.
Yeah. It's, what do you love about it, Rob?
Definitely the people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally new dynamic moving out here. Like she said, I mean, we didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
and except each other. You know, we
Our first Easter, we had
we were here a month. I
we
think
had grilled cheesies
cheese
and tomatoes. Too.
we were here a month, I think, at that point, or maybe, maybe a couple weeks.
Gourmet.
And we moved out March 1st. So Easter was very shortly thereafter.
Sure.
But the church has become our family.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is our Colorado family.
Yeah.
Where back home in Maryland, it was just more. I had my family and friends, and I had my church. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
separate. I
But
guess
it had to be separate because you weren't together as a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right. I
true,
mean,
too.
so it
Yeah,
is.
that's a
It
good
is
point.
kind of
That's a good
separate, right? I
point.
mean, you're not. you know, it's not marriage friends. It's kind of Rob's friends.
That's
at
a good
that
point.
Yeah.
And
now we have our. I mean, I always say she's blossomed and spread her wings out here.
I have more
you know.
friends than him.
She does. I was messing with her.
that's because you're more fun than he is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she has more friends out here than I do,
Yeah.
which I'm completely okay with.
I
you
love
know.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, just to see her, you know, I thought God moved us out here for a job.
I think it was for me too.
Yeah, it was to be a member of this church for this time, and just really, I think for her, she's totally different than she was.
I'm a
3 years
complete
ago.
different person.
You're a different person.
Yeah.
Really. How have you changed, Rob? How has she changed?
I'd say you know, much more social.
Yeah.
Where before she was, you know, I think I asked you one time, you know, what's different out here? Well, people back home are jerks, you know, like
No.
sometimes. But people back east can tend to be a little more blunt, I guess. You know,
Sure.
more,
Sure.
Yeah.
more frank.
We're more laid back here.
Definitely,
Yeah. A little
Okay.
more laid
definitely
back,
more
sure.
laid back. But you know, she to see her involved and you know, to be at church. I remember shortly after my conversion, hearing a message about, you know, hell, and it just literally crying my eyes out because I just couldn't imagine, you know, my wife not being in heaven with me, you know, and how do I go home and like in a loving way tell her that, you know?
You're right.
But I kept telling him I was because I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you were
Yeah.
sprinkled on.
Yeah. Right.
But you know, just
right.
but God was the answer my prayer. Just, hey, I'm talking to you. You be faithful.
Yeah.
You keep showing up. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about it. I'm talking about to you.
Yeah.
You know, you be faithful. You be in your spot, and I'll work on her.
Mm.
You know, and over the course of time, you know, and I didn't come home preaching and
Sure.
No, you used to, whether you knew it or not, I was listening, but he would open the Bible and read, just read out loud,
Yeah.
and I would listen.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Like just reading to yourself, or
I sometimes do like the audio where I'm reading and listening.
Got it.
You know, so just kind of hit play and
Yes. And that was kind of something that you were even
Yep. Soaking it up.
You're soaking it up.
Yep.
Even. So, do you have any advice for either one of you, for somebody that would say, okay, I'm a believer. I want my spouse to be saved too. What advice would you give somebody with that?
I'd say, you know, number one, pray,
Mm-hmm.
pray, you know, and then 2, live it, don't preach it.
Yep. And be patient.
Be
right?
patient.
Just,
Yeah.
you be faithful
Actions speak louder than words.
and in a loving way. You know, I remember talking a bit early about giving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I started, you know, giving to the church, and that was, you know,
And she's like, "What are you talking about?"
are we not going to talk about this? You just
Right.
and I'm no, you know, this is non-negotiable, right? This is something that I said I made a deal with God, you know, and I'm sorry, you know, this is something we can. Now again, she wasn't saved at that point,
Yeah,
and
right,
I was, right? So
right.
you know, she's
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm trying to do the math.
Yeah, right. And the math is not good. You know,
But
you're going this.
he made it happen.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
he made it happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But yeah, I'd say that, and you know, you be faithful in your walk.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, how can non-believing spouse they need to see authenticity. You know, I'd say that in
Yeah.
general, right? People,
Yeah.
this world needs to see.
They do.
Authentic
And I think you
Christians.
just said a really big word. You know, if you go to Church Rob and you act, and if there's a Church Rob, right? I mean, here's Church Rob,
Yeah.
and then here's Home Rob. You can come home and say whatever you want to say
yeah.
to her. She doesn't care. You know, she sees, wait a minute, you're different there than you are here. Or you say you believe that. I'm listening over your shoulder to what you're reading, what you're hearing the Bible say, and you're not doing that. And by the way, Marie, I don't think Rob was probably perfect just because he got saved, but there is a change.
Yes. And you realize when you do now, like, I don't want to be that way. He'll say,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. There's a regret, a guilt, a shame. There's that Holy
Heartbreak.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit going, hey, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
You need to fix this.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had one. We went to visit my dad. Your mom and stepmom and dad down to Florida, 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
And you know, I think I was mentioning it to you. You get around, and I love my dad, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I'm so much like him.
Yeah.
You know, so much like him that it's
Yeah.
You come back and you're just, you know, a lot of it's good,
Yeah.
But there's some of it I'm like, man, that's me, right? And I see myself.
Yeah.
Your dad sees it too. He's like, that's me.
But just some things that hey, you still got some things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
The way you respond.
Sure.
To situations sometimes.
Sure.
But before, I don't know if I was necessarily as sensitive to the need to change.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's not
yeah.
good.
Yeah, sure. Well, I want you to know I'm super proud of both of you.
Oh,
I mean,
you.
you guys have been such a huge part of our church. And you're culture builders. You're the kind of people that you're looking for in a church that, people that, hey, we're just here to serve. We just want to help. We love what's going on. We're behind everything 100%. And you're faithful. You're there. Your spirit is so good. And I just love the restoration story that God has. You've been married 18 years now. 18. The first 7 were pretty lousy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even years 8, 9, 10, there was some years in there. There's challenges. And year 18 will have challenges. Yeah. But with Jesus, things are different, aren't they? Do you have any final thing you want to say today? If you were talking to the church or a young couple or someone going through a struggle or someone that's praying for a spouse or anything?
I think I've talked to married people, and I think we all come to a point at some time in our relationship where you could walk away, right? I mean, you might say it could be easier to walk away or you'd have every right to. And she certainly got to that point, and I guess my advice would be, just hang in there, stick it out, because we got through that. And, year 18, I couldn't imagine doing life with anybody but her. I mean, she's my best friend.
Yeah.
We had to get to learn one another. We had to get to know one another, and that doesn't happen.
No.
Could be friends
in 4 or
first
5
again.
years.
Yeah. And I, by the way, I do love this because I'll see you all on Facebook, and you like to weekend adventure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're in church on Sunday, but you guys, you'll take your Saturday and you'll go drive up into the mountains somewhere and
love to explore.
Just get away, explore, and just find things that you guys enjoy doing together.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, Jesus changes lives,
Amen.
and I'm thankful for your testimony, and thanks for serving so well in your church, not in our church.
That's right.
Thanks for serving so well in a
it truly
place
is the honor of our life.
Has become a place that obviously you're growing but you love it and you
whatever you need us
me.
to do, we'll do it.
And just I think about some of the best people that I know in the world.
Yeah.
Or Castle View Baptist. I mean, seriously,
right at the church. Yeah.
You hear some people, I guess, detractors of church. They're full of hypocrites. And
sure.
Well, yeah, you're right, and you're looking at one of them, right?
Yep.
I always say you'll find what you're looking for, right? If you walk into church and you want to find a hypocrite, you'll find one.
You'll find them.
Like you said, you don't got to look far.
Yeah.
But if you want to find some of the best people, some of the best, godly men and friends.
I've learned a lot from Jeremy. A lot.
Yeah.
He really, he gets it. Like,
You're in his life group.
I walk out of the life group thinking that whole week, like.
Proverbs.
Yeah. I needed that. I needed that wisdom. Wisdom. Yeah. Listen, thank you. That was just really a good conversation. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's just a real story, right? And people go through real problems and real issues. But I'm so proud of what God has been doing in your life. And Marie, I learned something new. I forgot that it was so new. I think I assumed a little bit that you'd been going to church a little bit longer than that.
It's okay.
And
we're very thankful for you.
Yeah. Well,
and Miss Debbie and the whole church.
Yeah, we love it. We're glad you're here. We're blessed, and we love you both. And Castleview, thank you so much for watching today. Listen, Jesus changes lives. Jesus changes marriages. Jesus gives homes hope. And that's not always easy. And there's personalities and struggles and challenges. But when you submit yourself, Rob was just talking about that. Marie just gave testimony. Rob said, you know what? This is not good. And Jesus helped him change all of that. And if you need a little bit of hope, if you need someone to talk to about anything, reach out to us. I know that I would love to talk with you, but I've got people like Rob and Marie that would love to even sit down and encourage you wherever you are today as well. Hey, if you got something out of that this morning, if you know somebody that'd be encouraged by that, share this, send it on to them. Subscribe to the podcast, and we're looking forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.